When the Mets acquired Luis Robert Jr., it gave MLB fans everywhere a lot of questions, Mets fans in particular, of course. What version of Luis Robert Jr. are the Mets going to get? Is there a chance that he can even get back to the heights of his career? Still only 28 years old. He doesn't turn 29 until August. Luis Robert Jr. could be a catastrophic project for the Mets, or he could end up being one of the steals of the offseason. Luis Robert Jr. enters Queens with something to prove. It's his first year away from the only organization he's ever known, with the Chicago White Sox, and it comes after one of the more turbulent stretches of his career. The Mets are asking him to be the everyday center fielder, and with good reason. Now let's take a trip down memory lane to a time not so far away. Let's dive back into the recent past of 2023. Although a season in which the White Sox lost over 100 games, Luis Robert Jr. at 25 years old, he batted .264, blasted 38 home runs, and drove in 80 RBIs, while also stealing 20 bases. And most importantly, he looked every bit like a franchise cornerstone in Chicago. Obviously coming over from Cuba, and he was a part of the 2021 team in particular, made it to the postseason and was one of the best teams that they had in quite a while, surrounded by Jose Abreu, Eloy Jimenez, you had Yasmani Grandal, and the tremendous pitching staff they had with Lucas Giolito and Carlos Rodon, just to name a few. And ultimately, they didn't sustain that level of success in the following seasons that we're going to dive into. That environment allowed Robert to begin to start coming into his own, and it peaked in 2023. Alongside his first and only All-Star selection, he finished 12th in MVP voting and won the Silver Slugger in center field. His bat speed was explosive, his power to all fields was undeniable, and defensively, he was one of the most dynamic center fielders in the game. But since then, that was a high point that he's yet to replicate again. The seasons that followed were troublesome, not only for Robert Jr., but for the White Sox as an organization. For him, it was mainly due to injuries. The power was still there in flashes, but the consistency wasn't there. What didn't help was the White Sox being a bottom feeder in the AL Central, losing over 100 games every year since that 2023 season. Not to mention the historic 121 loss season in 2024 added to the expectations on Luis Robert to show that he can get back to his 2023 trajectory, in hopes mainly that another team would eventually trade for him. However, in the last 2 seasons, his stock has plummeted. He was in trade rumors for ages, even when guys from that playoff team in 2021 began taking off and leaving and getting traded. He was still there. And of course, the trade rumors can even scale back to 2024. And you can see year by year, his stock was just kept on going down. But eventually, we all knew a team was going to trade for him. Combining the following 2 seasons since his breakout in 2023, he has a slash line of 223, 288, and 372, with 28 homers and 88 RBIs, and an OPS plus of 85. And keep in mind, this is combining the 2024 and 2025 seasons. At least with one positive coming into the season, he was in the 93rd percentile in OAA, marking him as one of the best defensive center fielders still. And of course comes the reset entering Queens with the trade to the Mets. The Mets, along with many fans, believe a change of scenery could unlock Luis Robert again, even if his floor is being a great defender in center field with some offensive upside. In Queens, he has the opportunity to soar past his expectations, playing alongside some of the game's best in Juan Soto and Francisco Lindor, alongside with other acquisitions like Bo Bichette and Jorge Polanco. Luis Robert isn't expected to be the all-star we saw in 2023. Now, in my mind, he has all the tools and the environment around him to really soar past his expectations. At the same time, while a lot of people will talk about it when it came to his motivation and being in a winning environment, that doesn't always sing true in every single case. Especially with him, I understand when it comes to his time in Chicago the last couple of seasons, there really wasn't any protection around him. So even when he was on the field, many times you would think teams wouldn't pitch to him, or he wouldn't be able to put his best foot forward in that aspect on the field and at the plate. According to Fangraphs, his projections have him at a 235 average with 21 home runs and 76 RBIs. Even just replicating his previous 2 seasons would be an upgrade in center field for the Mets, who have had the worst offensive production out of the position across the board last year. They were near the bottom of the league in home runs, RBIs. I think the only positive is that their center fielders didn't strike out too much, but with established bats around him, Luis Robert can settle into a role that can maximize his talent. The Mets have desperately needed stability in center field, and having Luis Robert Jr. can provide that. Again, he doesn't turn 29 until August, so he's still squarely in his physical prime. The tools that have made him one of baseball's most exciting young players haven't disappeared. They've just been buried under injuries and inconsistency. In 2026, in a new uniform, under brighter lights, Luis Robert has the opportunity to bounce back in a big way, and if he does, the Mets won't have just added a good player this offseason. They would have revived a star. I think Luis Robert really has the talent to really push past those expectations. Even if he's still the same player he has been the last couple of years, it's still a tremendous deal for the Mets. I think the most important thing for him is that his expectations are being tempered a little bit. Of course, he's not looking to be the middle of the order bat, and he's not going to be expected to be the guy who's providing, 40 plus home runs and being near the top of the league and MVP considerations and whatnot. Him batting in the middle to bottom third of the lineup and have him play center field every day and just show off the tremendous glove that he has, and an everyday player who has the potential to hit 30 plus home runs, that's tremendous value, especially for a Mets team that's looking to compete and to get better defense around Juan Soto, who's also in that outfield. I think a lot of people are looking for Luis Robert to have a bounce back. I think putting him in that situation will only allow him to soar. It seems like it's a low risk, high reward deal for the Mets. So we'll just see what happens going into the 2026 season. But I think Luis Robert is somebody I'm definitely keeping an eye on going into this year. You guys let me know what you think about Luis Robert and his new home with the Mets. Do you think it's going to be a great move? Do you think he's going to have a great season? Or is it going to crash and burn? You guys let me know in your thoughts down below. If you guys did enjoy the video, really appreciate any and all support you guys can give us by subscribing, sharing the video around with your friends, and commenting your opinions down below. WBC is kicking off in just a couple of days, and of course MLB season is going to be not too far after that, so really appreciate you guys sticking around to see all the content we have for you guys going into the future. But with all that being said, guys, take care of yourselves, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.